brought to you by CCT.
Live stream cable TV is here with CCT Live. Access over 80 channels that you can watch either at home or when you're on the go. And don't worry about missing your favorite series, sports, news, and local programming. Rewind and watch in your own time. Come to CCT today and ask about our 1-month free trial offer. CCT Live. Bring it home.
All thanks to the director and producer Via Donovan Hodge, writer and producer Carrie Marie Hoyt, and co-producer Riki Brothers. The BVI public had the opportunity to be reminded of the talent that exists right here in the territory. Well, the trio were responsible for the conceptualization of the play, which they collectively made a reality, which saw the likes of local talent such as Shimar Trim, who played the role and character of George, Shimar Barzi, who played Gertrude, Nikoi Stout, who acted as Damon, Hashim Lewis as Roman, and Caris and Rikia, who also acted brilliantly in their roles as Tony and Resilience, respectively. Well, from the playbill, the order of the program, the stage design, the acting skills displayed, and the plot twist within the play, the overall consensus of the production was an A+ rating, which saw the end of both days being met by a standing ovation by all parties who were privileged to view the play. Well, I had the opportunity to speak to a number of persons after the play to get their takeaway from the masterpiece. Well, first up was Permanent Secretary in the Ministry of Agriculture and Fisheries, as well as Education, Mrs. Carolyn Stout-Igwe. Well, here's what she and others had to say.
Well, first of all, I would like to say that I thought it was awesome. It was really a great production. I really want to commend the cast. And what I'm left feeling, actually after the tears, it was really a moving piece. It was really a moving evening, and I didn't expect it to end the way it ended. So I'm grateful to them for the suspense that they created, and it was really quality acting. So I'm really pleased.
And obviously, with that talent that you would have seen today, what does that mean for the future of theatre arts here in the BVI?
Well, it's very exciting. I know that the Director of Culture really pushes the different types of arts in the territory, so I think she would be pleased with a production of this magnitude. And I really want to say that the territory is in good hands. Caris and Via, they're young, they have some very good actors. The future of theatre looks bright in the Virgin Islands.
Well, I'm here with Mr. Hassi. You would have just viewed the play. I want your honest opinion. Give us, tell the viewers what you took away from the play firstly.
Well, firstly, I'd like to say it was a very good play for me. Emotional, thinking about it, thinking about back in slavery days. If this is exactly what's going on, that was very painful for me, seeing as a black man, knowing what we went through to get to this day. But to be honest, it was a very well-written play. I mean, to be honest, with this little British Virgin Islands, we got so much talent. Watching those guys on that stage executing that, I felt like, hey, like I wasn't in Tatula. It's like, this is something that you should pay hundreds of dollars for. This was a top-of-the-line quality show from beginning to end. Acting, emotions, everything was just on point.
And you just touched on the talent that you would have seen here tonight. Tell me what you think should happen going forward, especially when it comes to having more stuff like this in the territory.
To be honest, going forward, it needs to be more investment. Sometimes we tend to think that the government needs to do everything, but sometimes it's a community effort. The government can't do everything. Things like this, these are our young people, these are our kids, these are our cousins, these are our nieces and nephews. Persons who have businesses, we just need to invest in things like these. These things here could be done on a bigger scale. This is something I think the whole of BVI would like to see. Just thinking about it, reading about it, they will think, oh, it's boring. But after coming to experience this, you will realize, wow, this is awesome. This is an awesome show.
Okay, I'm here with Mr. Bryant Hoyt. He would have played a critical role behind the scenes, especially when it comes to the musical work and stuff. Speak to me in terms of from the inception, how it was back then, and then fast forward to the final production where everyone it would have had a standing ovation basically. So speak to me firstly about that inception, how it was going from the background before a vision was basically set in stone.
Well, I mean, I'm gonna be very honest. You know, what I mean, I'm working with an awesome team like Jason Smith. I mean, Joel Fripp. These guys are amazing. You know, so I mean, the workflow was so easy. You know, what I mean, behind the scenes and what's not. I mean, leading up to it, no complications whatsoever. It was really smooth, down to the point. You know, what I mean, we had a really good cast. Carries did really awesome. Via did awesome in production, and so it was really a nice build up, man. It was in no trouble at all. It was really nice and effective. You know, what I mean, we did well. You know, what I mean, we did really very well.
And I know your sister, Miss Hoyt, via Donovan Hodge and Miss Brathwaite, they would have came up with the plan initially. When they came to you with the plan, did you foresee it being like what you would have seen tonight?
Honestly, no, man. It's always different to actually see something, to talk about something and actually see it in the end is always mind-blowing, man. I mean, those girls, Caris, Rikia, Via, all of them are related to me, by the way. They're my cousins and they're my sister, you know what I mean? So I'm very proud of them. They did really well. They just need all the praise right now, man. They did really well, man. I understand, like, they did really well.
And Miss Hoyt and Caris would have spoken about more players to come.
Yeah,
we do see you on social media, your acting skills and stuff. Can we expect you in one of these players going forward?
Man, they can't afford me, bro. I mean, they can't afford me. But I mean, I will support them in what they're doing. But they can't afford me. That's the honest truth. You know what I mean? But I do love what they're doing, man, honestly.
Okay, well, thank you very much.
Thanks, bro.
I also had the opportunity to speak to some of the stars on the night, starting with actor Shimar Trim.
When I first auditioned, I didn't actually audition for the part I have now. I auditioned for the part of Damon, and then due to like certain circumstances, I had to like take up that role, and it's nothing like what I thought it would have been. It's a completely like different experience, and it's a great one. I really enjoyed it. Yeah, the ride was really good.
I'm here with Miss Riki Brothers. She's also a producer as well as an actor. You would have played Resilience role today. Just speak to me about how it was. Firstly, I don't want to speak about the acting as yet. Let me first start by when I first interviewed Caris and Via. They said that you was part of the three party team basically that would have came up with the whole idea and stuff. Speak to us firstly about that.
So basically what happened was that COVID happened, and that was a huge thing for all artists, and that brought me home because I was in New York at that point, and that brought Via and I home, and we had to settle here and there was no art. So I remember one time I was like, Dad, like, there's nothing to audition for, there's nothing I can do to practice my craft, like, what can I do? And he was like, this is the perfect time to think of something to create it. If you're the only one that's doing it, then you would have everyone that's artists like on your, with you on your back. So I was just like, okay, we have Via, we have Caris, we have such talent here. Let's just get it all together. And then I was like, what can we do? I'm specialized in theater, so that's my art form. So I was like, what can we do? We need to create an authentic like Virgin Islands story, like that's something that our audience can relate to, so kind of spark the theater arts here because we don't really have it here. So once we can like bring them in with relatedness, then maybe that we can create history in terms of like people coming here and like instead of going to the bars and like going to a jam, like they can come and see a show as a part of entertainment. So I remember one time I went to one of my friends that knows a lot about history, and I was like, tell me something more about history. And then I got that story about George like stealing the letter at the Nottinghams, and then I just started there. Then I called Caris and I was like, I don't know how to write. Like, I have this concept, like, I think that I want to create this character named Resilience. Like, she's Virgin Islands Resilience. She's really like a ghost. She's not a person. She walks through history, and then, like, you see how she learns a lot of things, as you saw, like, tonight. She's naive, and then she learns all these different, the mother-daughter situation. She doesn't really understand the dynamic of power, and she learns it until, and in the end, she sees that we are here and we own everything because we have been resilient. So that's basically the whole thing that we have created here.
And as you would have seen, there was a lot of emotions that would have derived from your character as well as George, etc. Speak to us about the after effect, basically, when you would have seen the response you would have gotten from the viewers. We would have seen the audience. You did get a standing ovation, and as you said, moments ago you was crying. So I'm assuming that's from basically the response you would have gotten as well.
Well, it's from the response. But it's mostly from like the character going through all that she goes through. As you can see, she gets pushed around on stage, and the Virgin Islanders, like our ancestors, have been pushed around a lot of times. And we tried and we failed and we tried and we failed, and so like George is like a symbol of love, like, and just to know that we've lost some loved ones and our ancestors, like, just trying to be resilient to get to where we are. That's where that emotion came from. It wasn't necessarily from the standing O. Like, I don't really see anyone in the audience. Like, I'm very grateful for it, but that's where those emotions came from. Like, I lost a friend, and it really, really just was really deep. It was really hurtful.
Okay, and also to tell us what's next, because I know Carrie did touch on it, and as you spoke on it a little bit as well. Getting more theater arts in the BVI, is a challenging task, but obviously is one that will take investment not only from government but also from private sector as well, because a lot of people tend to heavily want to pressure government to do such, but it takes everyone basically coming together.
Village, yeah.
Exactly. So speak about what's next when it comes to theater arts in the BVI.
Well, right now we started this. We showed kids hopefully tonight that this is something that you could do, and it's something that people can be passionate about. And then hopefully, like this, we can do more shows. We can get more artists to see that there's a community here. Like we can start a community and hopefully create a performing arts center so we can start to nurture that art. Because I think there's a lot of talent here. And then I think my goal is to create a performing arts center so we can help develop playwrights, actors, visual artists, all the arts. Because I feel like we don't really have that support here. The government supports the sports. They support academics, but not really the arts. So I really wish that this ignites that.
Okay. So I'm here with Nikoi, and I'm here with Ms. Barzi. Basically, you just would have delivered. Both you guys would have delivered outstanding performance. Speak to us firstly regarding that performance. How was it in terms of the work overall? I'll start with you, ladies first.
We started last year, and because of a lot of things, we didn't get to do it when we wanted, but the work was done and we worked hard and we produced this today. It was a great experience, honestly, telling our story from our point of view and not just from the slave master's point of view.
Mm-hmm. And Mr. Nikoi, your character obviously was the quote-unquote rebel in the overall play, going against the norm and finally escaping as well. And as Carrie would have touched as well, you did your own stunt. Speak about that as well, especially when it comes to theater arts in the BVI.
Well, I think for acting it's all about initiative, and as long as I can try to get the character as much as I can portray them, I felt like the stunt was almost necessary because it called for me escaping, and for me to escape quickly down the stairs just wasn't the path. So for acting, I think it's all about embodying the character as much as possible. And as to theatre arts in the BVI, I have been practicing theatre arts from Form 1 through Form 5 in high school. I chose it as a senior as well, and I also did a play, The Unveiling of Sarita, which will be 6 years old in April. And I think theatre arts in the BVI has always been something that's there, but not. It almost comes in waves, highs and lows. Some years you have 2, 3, 4 major plays. Some years you really have 0. So I think this is just to show that it's still here. That persons who are interested in acting, interested in doing lighting, sounding, because it's important to know that theatre is more than that. That there's still an outlet for everybody to do so.
And also, too, I'm sure you guys would have gotten feedback from the audience, from probably family members, people just approaching you as well. I'll firstly start with you. Could you please just tell us in terms of some of the feedback you would have gotten, especially from your role in the play just now?
Well, as Carrie said, this role was me. A friend of mine said, you weren't acting, this is just how you behave all the time. And it's actually close to my normal personality. So it was a role tailor-made for me. So.
What about you, Mr. Nikoi?
Besides the regular, it was good. I feel your character. I felt your character, and I've gotten. A doctor told me he almost had to pick me up off the ground when I did the stunt. So, yeah.
Okay. And any last words? What's next for both you guys?
Well, I'm just happy to be doing this, and I'm looking forward to the next one.
What about you?
I was on the lookout to do any plays. Anybody that have any plays auditioning, feel free to hit me up. I'm always interested in doing more than acting, because I also do lighting and stuff on the side. It's really a passion of mine, and I'm always interested to do more.
I know it was going to be good, but I don't think any of us could really anticipate that it would be this good. The reaction to be this big, the standing ovation was instantaneous. In terms of like in the show, I didn't realize everything was so funny to the BVA public. There was lots of laughter, and I did not expect that. But the reactions thus far have been very heartwarming and overwhelming, especially because, you know, there's some moments of uncertainty in the background. You're not sure how it's going to turn out, but everyone it just feels so good.
What about you, Mr. Oatley, aka Adam?
Well, as the play unfold, you could have listened to the audience and realized that they are following the plot and following the storyline. And at the end of it all, when we got that standing ovation, it was very heartwarming, surprising as well, and I should also say a bit nostalgic. Okay, so it was a beautiful play. It was a beautiful play, and we went out there and put our best foot forward, and the audience did receive it as such.
And Mr. Oatley, you played a very interesting character. You know, I'm sure a lot of persons would have mixed emotions. Initially, probably angered initially, you know, and then probably feeling somewhat of a compassionate towards the end. In terms of understanding your plight, you know, because everyone probably, you know, have their own way of doing things. You know, for the outside, it may seem as though you may be acting a particular way, but inside maybe from a good place. And ultimately, that is what Adam portrayed today. Well, from my understanding and from how I perceive it to be. Speak about the response you would have gotten from your character.
Well, from the get-go, one of the things that we did was we did a characterization in which we broke down Adam's character and gave it our personality. And then we also had that conflict between not only himself but nature and environment. Hence the reason for the emotional roller coasters. Okay, and there were a few points in which Adam was hated because he chose his estate.
Vibes. Are you gonna spoil the plot? Because we haven't seen it yet.
No, they're not going to air it yet.
Okay.
This coming out on Monday.
Okay.
Right. So, because of that, Adam is hated. However, Adam is torn between work and what he really wants, which is the family, security of his family. Okay, so he has that battle going on, and because of that, the different levels of emotions that is conveyed, and hence the reason why he is both loved and hated at the same time.
And what about you two? I mean, you played a huge role in this plot twist as well. Initially, basically from the get-go, you know, you would have acted in a manner of being protective. And then at the end, I guess the viewers, the audience would have understood, you know, why you were being so protective initially. Speak about that.
I think it just comes to try to incorporate as many personalities into one person as possible. For the character that I play, she has a lot to balance, you know. She's a mother figure, but she's also submissive in certain rights. She has the platonic interpersonal relationships. I think for her, I don't know, it's just trying to make her as human as possible, make her as dynamic as a real person would be. You know, sometimes you feel low one day, you feel up one day, and you have to navigate based on where you go and who you're with. So I just try to make her as human as possible, and that's what you guys saw tonight.
And what's next for both of you guys? I know you just touched on it on stage in terms of, you know, bringing more theaters performances to the BVI. Mm-hmm. It's something that obviously tonight we would have seen is needed in the territory. Mm-hmm. It's something that's very entertaining, and it will be somewhat of another option, you know, to basically you know, add to your calendar basically when it comes to just doing things in the BVI. So what's next?
What's next is first getting some sleep.
Indeed.
Taking a little vacation, taking time to go back and like get the creative juices flowing. I think it's first more so about now that we learn what we have to do, making sure we also always have access to it, just in the Virgin Islands, financially, whatever, making sure that we know how to put things in place. But for me, I think film is next. I would like to write something that, you know, we can sit down and watch and show multiple times a week. Maybe not with this plot, maybe with the same actors, different actors. Who knows? But definitely more things, but probably more so on the televisual scale.
What about you, Adam?
Well, for me, I am completely available. I love performing art. It is my passion. As a matter of fact, saying it's my passion is an understatement. It was a tremendous pleasure giving this up, being able to be a part of this play. It is actually my first performance in 10 years. Okay, 10. No, 15 years. My gosh. Wow. Yes, first performance in 15 years, and that's the reason why I said before, very nostalgic. Okay, and I'm just here, whatever opportunity comes as it relates to performing, I would most definitely be there and jump at that opportunity.
And in some for some actors initially, when they have a groundbreaking, whether it be a series or a movie, there are certain characters that people remember you for. I'm sure in the BVI they'll now call you Adam. You'll be remembered as Adam. What do you think? How do you feel about that?
Well, honestly, it tells me that the audience did enjoy the play and they followed the character, and even though they hate me, they understand where the character is coming from. So being called the character, the name of the character is not a problem. It's just that sooner rather than later, I would be called numerous names. So it's just something to look forward to.
Last but not least was the woman responsible for several roles on the night, Miss Via Donovan Hodge.
I don't even think I processed the standing ovation, to be honest. But I was sitting back here for most of the show, and like hearing the crowd and watching them react to everything that's happened on stage was amazing. Because as I said before, like I had watched it so many times, I was just like, is this actually gonna hit? And they were laughing at stuff that I didn't realize was funny, and I'm just like, this is amazing. This is great. Seats were packed. I printed a certain amount of tickets, and we kept having to go and reprint tickets, and I was just like, oh wait, the college is going to be full. So yeah, this was amazing for like my first full directed project by me, because like everything else I've directed has been like assistant director. So like this is my first independent, directing thing. Wow, amazing. I'm over the moon.
And tell me a little bit, give me a little insight in terms of the feedback you would have gotten from people, because I'm sure a lot of persons would have approached you afterwards, congratulating you, etc. Give us, the viewers, somewhat of an insight to some of that feedback.
I mean, everybody was just basically like, this was amazing. They're so glad they got to come, which is, again, it was a occurrence like, people are going to come to a place. Everybody's like, they're really glad that they decided to come. I sent out like 100 WhatsApps the other day, and I was like, make sure you come to this play I directed. I think everybody was just really happy and like shocked a little bit about the quality of the production. So better to come tomorrow. So, I'm pleased. I think the people are pleased.
And what's next for you? I know Carice would have, on stage, she would have spoken about having more theater art performances here in the BVI. What's next?
What's next? I can't tell you exactly what's next. What's next is a lot more like this and a lot bigger. My goal in life, one of my goals in life, has been to make great theater. Carice is more, a film girl, but I'm all for the stage. I love, which is why I did so many things for this production, because I wanted to just be in it. So to see that we could get such a great reaction from the public at home, and to know that, people came up to me afterwards and they're like, oh, I used to do this when I was young. I would love to be involved in your next production. Just tell me that we're gonna get a lot more people involved in our next project and be able to do so much more with that. So whatever comes next, whatever it is, I know it's going to be amazing.
Okay, great. And any other thing you'd like to add? I mean, obviously you did touch on that just now. A lot of people would have approached you afterwards, willing to be in the next act. What does this represent in terms of when it comes to theater arts and talent in the BVI?
Talent matters. Theater matters. I think the fact that, because there were a lot of laughs, and I was concerned for a little bit that it was too much laughter, and this piece wasn't supposed to be a comedy, but the fact that at the end people got the impactfulness, and people saw that, theater can have an emotional impact on you, and, people will take this home and, hopefully ponder pieces of it and reflect on their lives, I think shows the importance of theater. And people wanted to get involved in that, validates it in the BVI community, because I didn't need the validation of theater, but I know, in the BVI community, we need a little bit more validation of theater to create the spaces. So I think the more people that show interest and the more people that get involved, the bigger that space becomes, and the bigger that space becomes, the harder it becomes to ignore that space. So, future.
I'm sure that Over the Moon was exactly how everyone who witnessed the play on either night felt, as the entire team for the Resilience play came out and conquered. I'm Kamal Haynes reporting for 284 News.